Yes, guys. So, a very good morning, all of you. And how are you all doing? Yeah, I'm also doing good. Thank you. So, if you remember, in our last two classes, we have discussed about some fundamentals of company law. And apart from the fundamentals of company law, we have also discussed the the types of directors. We have started with directors, right? So, in this directors, we have discussed some types of directors, if you can recall. And we started with board meetings as well, right? Provisions relating to board meetings. So let's try to quickly revise a few things. Chapter number 11 to chapter number 13, we said, of the Companies Act 2013 deals with directors. 11, 12 and 13. 14 to 29 is other than directors, right? 11 to 13 and 14 to 29. Yes, there are some exclusions from your syllabus or in your syllabus, but then otherwise these are the chapters which are there. Okay. Now, talking about the types of directors, or before that, first we discuss the definition of director, if you remember. Any person who's appointed on board will be called as what? Director. So maybe generally people call any person as director. But then Companies Act says they will call a person as director only if he's a director on board. Then what do you mean by board of directors? So we said collectively the directors are called as board of directors. Then why board of directors? So we said representation should be there of the company. Why representation? Because company is a legal person, and when it is a legal person, obviously they do not have eyes, ears, hands, legs, brain of its own. So they need some representation, which is done by whom? Board of directors. So from the date of incorporation itself, we need some representatives, and that's where we talk about first directors as well, isn't it? Okay. Then few types of directors which we have discussed, like we said, shadow director is not a director actually. He is a person on whose instructions the board of directors are accustomed to act, right? Except a professional, because professional giving some services and the board of directors acting on the instructions is for some consideration. So that is not shadow director, otherwise it is shadow director. And then we have also discussed about first deemed directors. In case they do not mention in their articles who will be the first directors of the company, or maybe they don't appoint first directors, then subscribers to MOA who are individuals will be deemed as first directors of the company. But they should be individuals, right? Subscribers should be individuals who will be deemed as directors, first directors of the company. Okay. If you remember, we have talked about 2-3 points more there, right? And then we have discussed section 161 partly, or maybe to some extent. Subsection 1 deals with additional director, 2 deals with alternate director, 3 deals with nominee, and 4 deals with director to fill up casual vacancy, right? So additional director will have term up to which date? The date of next AGM or the date within which agent should have been held. Then talking about the alternate director will hold office up to what? The original director returns to India. And when will alternate director be appointed? Only when any director goes out of India for 3 months or more. And then nominee director means board appointing on the nomination given by the financial creditors or maybe the government, who will hold office up to what? The date mentioned in the agreement or maybe the repayment. Then director to fill up casual vacancy means we said whenever casual vacancy arises, that is the time where board of directors may fill that casual vacancy by appointing some person. So he will hold office up to what date? The date up to which the predecessor in whose place he is appointed would have held the office, isn't it? And what do you mean by casual vacancy? Termination of office before expiry of term, which can be due to resignation, removal, death, or any other reason like vacation and all, isn't it? So this way we have discussed some introduction relating to directors, where we talked about some types of directors also to some extent. Then we started with chapter number 12, and we said 12 we are not dealing completely, we are starting with only board meetings now. Once we complete board meetings, then which chapter I said will be taking up? 11. 11 directors appointment and qualification, auntie, not parts. So once we complete board meetings. Then we'll take up directors appointment qualification, that is chapter 11. Then we'll come to chapter 12 again to complete the remaining provisions, that is powers and restrictions. Then chapter 13. That means basically we are following the same sequence 11, 12, 13. Only that from 12 we are taken out board meetings and reading first. How many sections we said we'll have to read? 173, 174, 5 and 118 and 116. 173 to 175, but of course is coming from where? This chapter. And 118 and 116 is coming from chapter number 7. So if you recall, 173 talks about what? 4 things. Number of board meetings, notice for the board meetings, and if interested director more than, shorter notice where we said interested directors more than or? No, not. We didn't talk about here. We said interested director should be present if they want to give the shorter notice. And also we talked about participation. So maybe the marginal note states meetings of board, but then there are 4 things which are there in this particular section. So you asked me a question as well, if you remember yesterday, that sir, what is a marginal notes? Why is it called as marginal notes? So marginal notes is title of the section. Why is it called as marginal notes? That's where I've told you basics of law also is important. Like you were asking, Rasika was asking, what is a proviso? Right? So we said we'll be taking up that in basics of law. Then if you remember, we were talking about small company, dormant company, OPC. So we said, so that means we have to go for basics of Companies Act. We have to see the definitions as well to understand a few things. You remember? So what did I tell you yesterday? Now we are trying to complete, or we will complete section number 173. After 173, what will I do? Not take up 174. We'll put a pause there and go back to basics of law, basics of interpretation, and also some more basics of Companies Act, including definitions. And then once we complete that and we get a good understanding of these things, we will come back to section number 174. Okay? Right. So now, recall 173. Sir, first board meeting within 30 days of COI. Every company shall have their first board meeting within 30 days of COI. Thereafter, at least 4 board meetings every year. And you know that every year is every calendar year, subject to a maximum gap of 120 days. However, CG may, for class or classes of companies, put some modification exemptions, give modification exemption. Then for OPC, small company, dormant companies or startup private companies, they can have at least 1 board meeting in each half calendar year, subject to a minimum gap of 90 days between the consecutive meetings. Then coming to notice, notice should be given to every director at least 7 days before the meeting in writing at the registered address of the director, by hand delivery, post or maybe e-mode. Then shorter notice is possible only if urgent business items plus at least one of the independent directors is present in the meeting, or if not present in the meeting, should be ratified by at least one of the independent director. What should be ratified? All those resolution decisions which are taken in the meeting. Failure to give proper notice will attract penalty of what? 25,000 for officer in default. Then coming to participation, maybe attend the meeting in person or by video conferencing or other audio visual means. And this video conferencing and other audio visual means is possible only if capable of recognizing, recording, storing along with date and time. However, CG can specify matters for which VC or AVM is not allowed. But then even for those matters, because of the amendment, they say if quorum is met through physical presence, then again the directors who are attending beyond that quorum can attend by way of video conferencing or AVM. That's possible, right? And then if we are talking about OPC with 1 director only, then these provisions would not apply, right? OPC with 1 director only, then these provisions will not apply. This is what we have discussed. We have discussed the provision. You remember our approach now? What did I say yesterday? First, we will always discuss the list of sections, the outline of the chapter. Next, go section by section. So in that section, like this is our first section of this topic. So we have discussed the provision in simple language, right? And then we started with an analysis, that is analyzing this section with the help of rules, case laws, circulars, yes or no, your doubts, my doubts, all that. That is what we have done, or we will be doing, we said. Correct? So now If you remember few questions again, I have taken up, like year means calendar year. If you're talking about the year of incorporation, is it that in the year of incorporation there will be that they are saying there shall be 5 meetings? No, 4 only, but the first one should be within 30 days of COI. Don't say 30 and stop. Within 30 days from certificate of incorporation. Whenever you give some time limit, you always need to mention whether it is minimum or maximum, and then give that time limit, and then from which date? My birthday, your birthday, right? That also matters, no? From which date? So 3 elements are there always in a time limit. Like here, within 30 days from incorporation, we said. Then we have also discussed what the gap is maximum. 120 is maximum gap. So this means in a way, once in 120 days, they're expecting one board meeting to take place. But we know because of SS1, if you remember, we said we'll be even discussing SS1, Secretarial Standard 1, which is mandatory. Maybe SS3 and 4 I've told you is recommendatory. SS1 and 2 is mandatory. 1 is for board meeting, 2 is for board meeting, and 2 is for general meetings. I've told you, no, yesterday also. You've read in IPCC as well, SS2. So now, when we talk about SS1, we said SS1 says at least one board meeting in every quarter also. Correct? In the examination, I have told you, please quote SS1 only at the end. Don't bring SS1 before. But SS1 has to be practically complied with. So that's what we're talking about. Then I've also told you which particular section is giving the power to central government to give exemption modification. 462. No, sir, it is written here. Yes, we said specifically it might be written here. If not written here, generally it is written in 462. Acha. Can they give power to a particular company? We said no. Class of companies. And did I specify which class of companies they have given the exemption modification? Yes. Section 8 companies. We said for Section 8 company, they have said one board meeting in each half calendar year is enough. Each half calendar. That means in a year, 2 board meetings. But the gap between those 2 meetings, minimum 90 days, like your OPC, small company, dormant companies. If you remember, I've taken some scenarios also for that. Right? I'll not repeat again those scenarios, but if you recall, we've taken these scenarios to understand whether they're complying with this requirement of number of board meetings. But I'll recall one scenario in this, the 7th one, if you can recall. The last meeting, the 4th meeting of the year 2016 was called but couldn't be held due to lack of quorum. So then, is it enough, or can we say that it is sufficient compliance of 173? Yes, MCA circular also on that. Last meeting, if called and not held. If I say that got adjourned and then adjourned meeting took place in 2017, then adjourned meeting will be considered as a meeting of 2016 or 17? 16. It can't be considered as that of 2017. That way we have discussed few scenarios. Then I have also taken you through that notice should be in writing only, at least 7 days in advance. Yes or no? We have seen this. Then shorter notice means only 2 conditions. Both the 2 conditions fulfilled, then only shorter notice possible. Shorter notice means what? Instead of at least 7 days, it can be lower also. 5 days notice also possible. Then in person or video conferencing EVM, but subject to condition. Acha. We said CG can specify matters for which VC or AVM not allowed. Which are those matters? Which are those matters? You remember? We said important matters for which they'll say no, compulsorily in person you have to come. Like approval of financial statement, merger amalgamation, acquisition related matters. In these type of things, we said CG has specified what? VC or AVM not allowed. But for again these matters, because of the amendment, they say if quorum met through physical presence, then more number of directors can attend by way of VC or AVM. Then coming to penalty, uncle aunties, penalties for what? Failure to give proper notice. It's not that failure to comply with section 173. So it's only for that failure to give proper notice. So what about the contravention of other provisions? Will lead to what? Will lead to general penalty. That is where I was telling you the relevance of miscellaneous also. So that's where we will discuss basics, some more basics of company law as well, apart from the ones which we have discussed. Okay. Yeah. Chalo, let us continue with more set of questions. Tell me what are those 3 C's which are required to be complied with so that we can say the meeting is valid. 3 C's, right? Alphabet C. And because I'm saying 3, that's why I'm saying C's, which are required to be satisfied so that we can say the meeting is valid. And if meeting is valid, resolutions passed thereat or the business transacted thereat is also valid. So tell me, my dear friends, which are those 3 C's? Okay, I'm continuing with my set of questions and asking you more now. No? Properly convened, properly constituted, and properly conducted. If meeting is properly convened, properly constituted, and properly conducted, then we can say meeting is valid. And if meeting is valid, then we can say resolutions passed thereat, or maybe the business transacted thereat is also valid. So now question comes, what do you mean by properly conveyed? So I've written it for you. Proper notice being served, proper authority calling the meeting and serving the notice. That is what is properly convened. Properly constituted means what? Proper quorum is there, proper chairperson is there. That is where properly constituted. And then what is properly conducted? Whatever items are there in the agenda, that can be discussed as well as resolved. That means decision can be taken on that, not just discussion. But those items which are not there in the agenda, for that what can be done? Only discussion can take place. Because don't you think people decide to come to the meeting based on the agenda? If they believe, yes, agenda has those critical points where our interest will get affected or where we have interest, they'll come. Otherwise, they may not come. So that is where kindly understand what? Not in the agenda means only discussion. And then apart from this, proper minutes have to be prepared. If this is done, then we'll say properly conducted. So convened, constituted, conducted will make the meeting valid, and thereby the transactions and the resolutions. So is this always be applicable? No, that's where I've written generally. It's not always that these 3 C's. That means there are exceptions to this. Sometimes maybe not in the agenda but still resolution. So that's an exception. Okay, maybe sometimes notice not being properly sent. Exception. So there are possibilities of what? Exceptions as well. That's where I've written generally. Okay, sir. Right. So we have taken up something apparent now. Now let me take up something more. Okay. Guys, please tell me, is this section talking about minimum number of board meetings or maximum number? Very good. Minimum number, not maximum. Why this section is not discussing maximum number of board meetings? Sir, that depends on the requirement, nature of business, size of company, commercial wisdom. So law, even though if they want, cannot put a restriction on maximum number of meetings. They can only specify minimum number, right? And that is what they have done. Good. Next. If you just see point number 10, okay. CG by notification may prescribe matters which shall not be dealt with by VC or AVM. We discussed this, right? We revised also today. Come on, uncle aunties. What did I say? There are important matters for which CG will specify. No, you cannot attend the meeting by way of VC or AVM. That means in person. So, in point number 10, that's what is written. If you just observe, approval of financial statement, board report or prospectus, audit committee meetings for consideration of financial statements, approval of matters relating to merger, acquisition, takeover. Now, just read that point below this, line below this. But removes this restriction if express permission of chairperson is obtained. That means for these matters also, is it possible that if chairperson allows, still the person can attend it by VC or AVM? Yes. And who says this? SS1. See, please understand the role of SS1. SS1 is trying to bring practicality. SS1 is trying to fill the gaps. Acha, what is the full form of SS1? Secretarial Standard 1. Who makes that SS or secretarial standards? Who prescribe? CG will prescribe. But who will recommend? Who will make it? ICSI. ICSI gives the recommendations for the same and CG prescribes the same. Okay, great. Achha, but do you think now, anyways, if this SS1 also, if we don't bother, we know if quorum is met by physical presence for these, then additionally any director can attend by way of VC or AVM for this also. Yes, because of the latest amendment. But still, we'll quote SS1 also at the end. Okay, though that amendment is there. That's why I just brought to your notice this particular point. Okay, next. What is the length of the notice for board meeting which they said the company shall maintain? At least 7 days. Don't say 7. At least 7 days before the meeting. See, again you're stopping at least 7 days. Complete all the 3 elements. My dear friends, please note. Complete what? All the 3 elements of the time limit. At least 7 days what? Before the meeting. Okay, sir. But let's say they cannot maintain this. Some urgent requirement has come. So can they go for shorter notice? Yes. So urgent business item and at least one of the independent director being present in the meeting. If he cannot be present in the meeting, then at least the resolution passed or the decision taken should be ratified by at least one of the independent director. So there is a possibility of an exception to this rule of length of notice. However, subject to 2 conditions. Both the conditions fulfilled, then only shorter notice possible. Now question comes, sir, what is so special about independent directors? Why is it that the law says if independent director is present or maybe independent director ratifies, then it's okay even though shorter notice being served? So that is where again basics of company law, few more basics will help. That means first of all you should know who's an independent director. You'll say, sir, we know from the name itself, independent. So is independent of, right? Independent of what? Independent of anything you talk about. He's an independent person. Yes, but that's not enough. That's a very general way, vague understanding. And we need to understand properly. So 149 anyways gives us, but we'll try to take under definitions also. So when we take up basics, other basics of company law, we'll take up definitions. Right now, whatever layman understanding you have, with that also you can answer. So you can understand, oh, if independent director there, he's not having any interest and all. If he's saying it's okay, that means it is okay. Okay, sir. Acha, but do you think every business item which is urgent can go for shorter notice? Every business item which is urgent can go for shorter notice? Materiality also has to be checked. I think I was telling you yesterday. Materiality also has to be seen, because urgency is there, but it's not that material. Then why are you bothered? But if it is material, and how will you decide whether it is material or not? Based on the impact on price, market price of the share. If it can impact the market price of the share, then yes, that can go for what? Who says this? SS1. They're saying some unpublished price sensitive information. Price sensitive. So market price can change because of that. That sort of urgent business item means it will make sense to say that shorter notice should be allowed. Followed? Okay, sir. We're able to follow something. Right. Next. Do you think that 9 days notice will be in spirit of law? Company gives 9 days notice. Very, very good. Sir, at least 7 days. So 9 days not a problem. Acha, 6 days. So no problem. Unless we say urgent business item and all, that's a different story. Otherwise, it's a problem, right? It's not right. It's a contravention of law. Okay. In the articles of association, the company has mentioned that we will give 10 days notice. What did they mention in the articles? 10 days. But then they have given 8 days notice. Is it sufficient compliance of 173? Is it sufficient compliance of 173? You understood my question? What did I say? 10 days written in the articles. Article says 10 days notice should be given for the board meeting, but they've given only 8 days. So is it okay? Why no? Sir, having written something in the articles and they need to follow. They're not writing something in the articles for the namesake of it. So having written 10 days, they have to follow 10 days. But now Aryan will ask a question. Sir, this shows that there is a conflict between the act and articles. Articles is going beyond, in conflict with law. And if you recall your IPCC knowledge, you will know that yes, sometimes maybe articles can go beyond the law or can have conflict with law. Provided articles is in spirit of law or the law itself has given the right to the articles to go beyond it. Like Papa says, listen to Bhaiya. Actually, you should listen to whom? Papa. But Papa himself saying what? Listen to Bhaiya. So here who's Bhaiya? Articles. And who's Papa? Law. Or as I said, articles should be in spirit of law. You'll say, sir, what spirit of law? See, simple thing. Law said at least 7 days before. Right? 7 days in advance. So you are saying at least 10 days in advance. So are you going against the law or you are actually favoring law? Favoring law. So there is nothing wrong in it. That's why 10 days may be provided. If 10 days is provided, then they have to give 10 days notice, minimum 10 days notice. If they are giving less than that, that will be considered shorter notice for which those two conditions have to be satisfied. Okay. Can the articles write 6 days? No, that's not possible. That will be against the law. Correct. That's not in spirit of law. Okay. If they are sending the notice by post or courier, then don't you think that should be 7 clear days? Meaning? So clear days, if you remember, clear days concept. You might have read in your general meetings also, no? IPCC level. 21 clear days. See, I'm taking an example here or maybe showing you by this particular diagram. Let's say notice is posted. NP means what? Notice posted. To reach, it will take some time. So notice got received on a particular date, which will be called as date of service of notice. This is the date. Not when we post the notice, we'll say serving of notice has happened. We'll say serving of notice has happened on which date? Date when the notice is received by the other party. And then there will be a date of meeting later on. So, what is clear days? Clear days means date of service of notice and date of meeting. Both are excluded. When you don't count these two, then you say it is clear days. So if let's say, if I take an example by way of some dates, let's say notice is posted on 1st of January. And let's say it is reached on what? 3rd of January. So which date they can have the meeting? So you'll say, sir, 3rd we cannot count. So now start counting 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So can we have on 10th? No. 11th. Because 10th if you have the meeting and using 7 days, you're wrong because date of meeting also should not be counted. So leaving this 3rd and 11th, there shall be 7 days in between. That is what 7 clear days. Right? Acha. Now tell me, why did I take 1st as the date and then immediately after that notice received on 3rd? 1st as the date as notice posted, that okay. That is some date you had to take, you have taken 1st of January. But why do you think I've taken 3rd January as the date for receipt of notice? Because it is presumed that within 48 hours that notice will be received. See, actually it might take more time, less time. In different cases, different things, different time limits. We cannot take up all cases. So that's where law says we'll presume 48 hours. Now whether you receive in 48 hours or not, we don't know. We will presume always 48 hours is the time. That's where it is like that. And SS1 also says this. Clear? SS1 also says this. Law was not answering this. So who has answered here? SS1. Okay, understood? What is date of service of notice? Date when the notice is received. Date of service of notice. That means date when the notice is received. Okay, sir. We're able to understand something. Right. Oral notice. Come on, guys. Oral notice. No, sir. Not possible. Written only. To whom? Sir, to every director. है ना? We said to every director. So what do you mean by every director? If I talk about shadow director, will it come? No, because shadow director is not a director. Director to fill up casual vacancy. Yes, director to fill up casual vacancy will come. Then alternate director, original director, additional director, nominee director, independent director, every director. Acha, when it comes to alternate director, will they serve on original or alternate director? Both. Original as well as alternate. Now you might ask a question, sir, why alternate? Alternate is there, no? Then you'll say, sir, why original then? Original not then. No? He should know, and who knows after receiving that notice, Hridaya Parivartanam. That means he receives and then he thinks of coming back. Oh, there's a meeting I should attend, and he's coming. Okay, so both have to be given this notice. Suppose now you say, sir, you sent to the original and original came back to India. Now what will happen to alternate? His office comes to an end. His office comes to an end. And that means he cannot attend the meeting because he's no more a director. Okay, great. Next. What do you think is the rationale behind serving the notice? Enabling the person to attend the meeting. I think I've told you yesterday. The idea behind serving the notice is to enable the person to attend the meeting. Now tell me, we said 10 days notice, fine. How about 100 days notice? At least 7 days, boss. So at least 7 days means it can be 8, 9, 10, 100 also. No, sir. Because if 100 days before you inform about the meeting, is there a chance the director might forget? Is there a chance the person might forget? Yes. That means you'll have to send another notice to remind him again. So kindly understand reasonableness. So 100 days not possible. 7 means maybe 8, 9, 10, 12, something like that, but not 100. 100 is definitely unreasonable. Acha. Do you think agenda should be a part of the notice? What is? Where is it written? Tell me, when did they say notice should include agenda? They said notice every director should receive with at least 7 days before meeting in writing at registered address, hand delivery, post or email. Where is it written? Very good. It's not written in law, but it is mentioned in SS1 that notice should always have agenda. Now you might ask me a question, sir, but what's the usefulness of that? What's the usefulness of that? Just now we said if agenda is there, person can always go through and decide whether to attend the meeting or not. Achha, that's the importance. Then why didn't law mention this? In general meetings, if you recall, it was written that notice of the general meeting should contain agenda. Then why not for board meeting they have written this? My dear friends. See, board meeting means meeting of directors. And do you think it is the duty of the directors to attend the board meeting, or do you think it is the right to attend the board meeting? Duty. So when there is a duty, do you think you need to give the agenda? No, because anyways they have to attend. Anyways they have to attend. When it comes to general meeting of members, they have the right or duty? Right. So that's where they have right, they may attend, they may not attend. So you give them agenda so that they can decide whether to attend or not. Acha. Sir, then why did SS1 said that agenda should be a part of the notice? Why did SS1 said agenda should be a part of the notice? When it was really not required in board meeting, because anyways the duty of the director to attend meeting, then why is it that SS1 said agenda should be a part of the notice? See, no doubt it is a duty. But if you give the agenda, do you think it will help the director to prepare properly for the meeting? He can do his homework, he can come prepared in the meeting and then make sense. So that's where again practicality is what SS1 has considered, and thereby they are saying what? Come on guys, they're saying what? Yeah. Agenda should be always a part of the notice. I hope you followed. Huh? Acha, by the way, that 48 hours and all which we talked about, date of serving notice and all, when does it matter? If notice is sent by post, hand delivery, then why do you think of that? E-mode, why do you think of that? Post and all, it will matter, isn't it? 48 hours time we said, we'll presume that will happen only in case of post. Acha, suppose some item is not there in the agenda. Not there in the agenda, but still the chairperson wants to take up that matter. Can they take it up? Sir, just now we read properly convened means proper notice, right? And all properly constituted means not in the agenda means only discussion. But they want to pass resolution on that, not just discussion. Yes, sir. You said generally because we know there are some exceptions. So this might be one exception. So please understand SS1 has given that exception saying that chairperson and majority of the directors if agrees for that, okay, including independent director if any, then what will happen? Then what will happen? Though not in the agenda, still they can pass the resolution. SS1. Huh? So how will you write this answer? First you will say no only. But then later on you'll say however as per SS1 it's possible with the permission of chair and consent of majority including independent director if any. Acha, but let's say the company doesn't have independent director. Like in this case also of shorter notice where we said at least one independent director shall be present or resolution should be ratified by at least one independent director. Let's say independent director not there. Sir, if it is not there, this condition won't come. Like if I have given you application form to fill up, there I said spouse name of the spouse, one field item, okay. What happened? What will you do? You'll fill up some name, sir, I'm going to get married to that person, so writing now only. No, you say not applicable. So if it is not applicable, you'll not fill it up. Same way, if some company not required to have independent directors, that's why they're not having it, they are not required to follow this condition. Did you follow? Now Vasu will say, sir, that means actually every company is not required to have independent directors. Yes, it's not in every company. It's only in those prescribed companies. And can you guess prescribed companies? Bigger ones, smaller ones? Bigger ones. Where the money involved is more. More and more these type of concepts are required. Corporate governance is required. Okay. I hope you are able to understand what we are doing. What? Analyzing the section so that we understand these things which are written here properly. Few questions which I am taking is apparent, clearly can be seen, and few are not. So for which we are looking out for answer. And this is what we do in offices as well, practically as well. Yes. Okay, next one. Now I think Aryant, I should ask this question. Let's check. Aryant, let's say in the company's articles, they have written that first Saturday of every month we have our board meeting. First Saturday of every month we'll have our board meeting. Now, is it that they are required to serve notice for the board meetings? They've already written in the articles. Still they have to serve. Very good. Why? Why? Sir, maybe who knows, people again forget. So it will not enable them. So having written in the articles, it's not that they can escape this or leave this. And secondly, we have understood from the provision very clearly, notice shall be served for every board meeting. Acha. Now, I'll change this question and ask. Slightly I'm changing the question, Rasika. You need to answer. Please tell me, in case I'm talking about not articles. Let's say a resolution they have passed, and in the resolution they have mentioned first board Saturday of every month we'll have board meeting. First Saturday of every month we'll have board meeting. Then what? Still they have to send? Yes. Again same reason we'll give. Very good. Even though I might say copy of resolution is sent, a copy of articles is sent, still they have to serve notice for every board meeting. Okay. Aditya, now you will answer. Contingent notice. Contingent. Is it possible? Come on, Aditya. No. Very, very good. Sir, absolute notice should be there. Contingency will always create a problem. What is contingent? See, contingency means where there is a condition kept. Some event. You're saying if it rains, then we'll have meeting. If it doesn't rain, we'll not have. So this is going to create what? Confusion. Suppose I also say tomorrow we'll have a class if Rahul Gandhi comes to Hyderabad. Now, do you think tomorrow morning when you wake up, you'll get a doubt? Did I say that? Or did sir said that the class is there when Rahul Gandhi comes to Hyderabad or not comes? I'm just confused. Because if he's coming, then there will be traffic jam, logical brain will start working. And there will be this thing. So if he's coming, probably sir said he'll not take. Right? If he's not coming, then he'll take. Confusion. So we don't want any confusion here. That's why we are saying no contingent notices. It should be only what? Absolute notice. Good. Next. Acha. Let's say some director himself said he will not be able to attend the meeting. Do you think still notice has to be served on him? Yes, sir. We will do our duty. Because unnecessarily 25,000 fine will come for officer in default if proper notice is not being served. Okay. Next. Can some director take an excuse of non-inclusion of agenda in the notice for his non-attendance, for his absence, that means? He is taking an excuse of his non-attendance, non-attending the meeting. Okay. On what? On the basis of he saying no agenda was included. So agenda was not included, that's why I didn't come. No, he cannot. It's his duty. He has to come agenda there or not there. Maybe SS1 said better to have agenda, but he can't take that as a ground. It's not there, that's why I didn't come. You know? Okay, good. Next. If some director is residing outside India, where is he residing? Outside India. Where do you think notice should be served? Where do you think notice should be served? Come on, Pooja. Sir, at his address, whatever address he said. Acha. That address can be in India or outside India? Sir, anywhere. They just said in writing at registered address. Did they say registered address shall be in India? No. So if he is residing outside India, they may send outside India. But sir, cost will be more, sir. Let it be, boss. And please understand, general meeting is different. In general meetings, when members specify this, the company collects extra cost and all which they will incur. But for board and all, they will not. Reason? How many members will be there in a company? Sir, many might be there. And just imagine if members start asking this way to be sent at some foreign address, foreign country's address, how much cost will be more? And how many directors will be there in a company? Maximum 15. So if all the 15 also ask, it will be not that costly compared to members asking. Like if I connect this with a very simple thing. Suppose I ask the academy that I want coconut water daily. Do you think they'll provide? Yes, sir, they may provide. I say I want coffee. They'll provide? Yes. How about you guys? If you ask, we want coconut water, coffee, tea, do you think they'll provide? No. Why? Because students are many. Faculties are definitely less. If they say no, we can't provide, then obviously we'll say what? Nonsense. You don't have that much of capability, ability, auqat. Isn't it? So kindly understand. Okay, sir. Next. Do you think notice by way of email is enough? Yes, these days e-mode they mentioned clearly in the section. Now, Let us say our Vasvi auntie is a director of the company X who has not received the notice for the meeting. Okay, she is there in the registered office. She has not received the registered notice for the meeting. And now this another director Pooja who has received the notice comes to the registered office for attending the meeting. So this time she decides to take the stairs instead of the elevators. Health conscious by, see. So now while climbing those stairs, she sees that Vasvi auntie's cabin, Vasvi is sitting and working. Glass doors and all, so she could see. And she says, Vasvi replies, that means here auntie, which auntie? Pooja auntie is saying, there is a meeting, are you not coming? And Vasvi is saying, what are you talking? Then Pooja opened the door and said, "Arey, meeting is there, no, board meeting. Where? Registered office. Here only, 4th floor, I'm going there. Will you not come? No, I was not informed. I didn't receive any notice. Acha, at least you got to know now, now come." So they, both of them holding their hands, come to 4th floor for the meeting. Okay, both of them hold their hands and come to the meeting, not play Ringa Ringa Roses. So now they have come to 4th floor. Now tell me, is the meeting valid or not? Notice was not served on her. She still attends the meeting. Is meeting valid or invalid? The answer is it depends upon that director. If that director after coming to the 4th floor says, what nonsense is this? That means he's raising objection, then meeting invalid. She keeps quiet and she says, okay, anyways, I got to know now why to create scene. Just inform next time, be careful. Okay then. I know you always love those fights and disputes. You want that tamasha to happen and you watch. But then people like Vasvi are sensible as well. No? Okay. Just changing the situation slightly. Okay. Same example, but some twist, some change. Let's say Vasvi auntie did not receive notice. Pooja auntie also decided to take elevators this time. That means no one informed her about the meeting. She did not attend. Later on, when the next meeting takes place, she got to know that last month there was a meeting. She gets furious. She says, what nonsense, you have not informed me, huh? Tell me, is the meeting valid or invalid? Invalid. I said she raised objection. She got furious here. If, let's say, she doesn't get furious, she doesn't object. She says, okay, oh, these matters you have transacted. Anyways, I wouldn't have come. If you would have told me, I wouldn't have come for this. Then, meeting valid. That means again depends on that absentee director. Acha, if notice is sent but got lost in transit, valid then, because lost in transit, it's not the fault of the company. If they deliberately, intentionally don't serve the notice, then meeting can be invalid. However, if accidental omission, then you cannot say meeting invalid. Okay. Do you think notice shall be served on interested director? Yes, sir. Every director. But interested director, do you think will be allowed to participate in that meeting? Should there be any restriction put? Should he be allowed to vote? No, sir. That should not be. All that we'll read in 184, restrictions on interested director. Okay, so don't worry. We'll take up those points, but I'm just trying to highlight that some more things are there connected with this, which we cannot take up now. Obviously, we'll have to take up when we go to the respective topic. Acha, where do you think board meeting can be held? Where do you think board meeting can be held? Where did they say? They didn't say anything. General meeting they have specified registered office or some other place in the same city town where registered office is situated like that. They did not specify here. So please understand, preferably it should be registered office. Though there is no compulsion, but preferably registered office. Why? See, in the board meeting, they might have to refer documents, contracts, agreements, and that will be kept where? Books and papers will be kept where? Registered office. So it makes more sense at Registered. Understood, my dear friends? Sir, Goa Beach not possible. No. Sir, private companies, so they have the board meetings and the dining table itself. Okay, that's a different thing. Offline we can talk about it, but please understand, preferably it should be at registered office. Okay. What do you mean by registered office and how is it different from corporate office and head office? Preferably at registered office. Okay. Now I'm asking you, what is registered office and how is it different from head office and corporate office? Very, very good. The address which the company gives to the ROC for communication purpose is nothing but registered office. Rather, it shares with others also, so that if communication has to be done, it will be done at that office. Okay, great. Second, head office, corporate office. Or from where they are controlling the branches is head office. If branches are there, there will be head office. No branch, no head office. When do you think a person will be called as father? Only when they have children, no? Same way, when is it that an office is called as head office? When there are branches, no? When is it a company is called as holding company? When it has subsidiary or subsidiaries. It is like that. Achha, what about corporate office? Corporate office, where the management, corporate level staff, managerial persons you will find. If you want to meet the CFO of the company, CEO of the company, company secretary, where do you think they said? Corporate office. So managerial persons where they occupy their seat is called as corporate office. Achha, can these three be one at the same? Meaning at one place itself they have their registered office, they have their corporate office, they also have their head office. Possible? Very much yes. Like home and home and office we say, no? My shop and my home at one place only, at one address itself. That way it can happen. Great. So I believe you know down these three, right? Okay. Achha, if the meeting is attended by way of VC or AVM, in that case, what will be the place where we'll presume meeting is held? Which is that place we'll presume the meeting is held? Sir, some place they'll specify in the notice, no? That particular place. And if they're not specified anything, as you said, registered office will presume. Okay, the notice might specify, if not that, registered office. Okay, great. Now, please look at this 37th question before you. If registered office of a company is at Kolkata and board meeting they want to hold it in Chennai on a national holiday outside business hours and no agenda is there in the notice, is board meeting valid? So first thing you will say, sir, registered office Kolkata is at Kolkata but meeting at Chennai. It's okay because preferably we said registered office. Second thing, on a national holiday. Can the board meeting be held on a holiday? You will say, yes sir, they have not given anything. So it's okay. Outside business hours. That's also okay. Did they say only during business hours? That is all there for general meeting. Here they say work. Work on a holiday, work outside business hours, but work. And then no agenda in the notice. That is also fine because law did not say agenda is a part. So that's why board meeting valid? Yes. But as per SS1, if you understand, no meeting can be held on a national holiday. Why? Work-life balance. You'll say, sir, you're laughing at us, you're teasing us. No, sir, but I'm just trying to explain. I know what you're feeling about or what are you feeling now. But then please understand. Here, SS1 says no meeting to be held on a national holiday. And secondly, SS1 said agenda is a or should be a part of the notice. So that's why answer will change as per SS1. SS1, as per SS1 answer is meeting invalid. So sir, how should we write? First write as per law, as we discussed now also. Meeting valid? Yes. Then you'll say, however, as per SS1? No. Acha. Is notice required to be served when the meeting is adjourned? Is notice required to be served when meeting is adjourned? Answer is it depends. Suppose now they've decided today itself in the meeting, tomorrow we'll have the adjourned meeting. Why will they serve the notice? But if they have adjourned sine die, you remember sine die? Sir, who died, sir? Not who died. Sine die means without fixing a future date. You read in your IPCC again. General meeting can be adjourned sine die without fixing a future date. Sine die. Do you know when will you die? No, sir, we don't know. We will die, that we know. But when, we don't know. Same way, sine die without fixing a future date. They have adjourned the meeting. To which date? They don't know. They have not decided. So in that case, if there is no date, future date fixed, but that future date is far. Okay, or I should not discuss that. I'll say simply without fixing a future date. Notice to be served? Yes, because how will others know then? But if you say future date is fixed and that's closer, nearby, then no notice. Otherwise, notice for that also. If they said next month we'll have that adjourned meeting, then again may notice have to be served. Clear no? So why the name sine die? Because die, death, we don't know when will it take place. It will take place, but when? No one knows. See, there is reason always for words or the names or terminology. So if you concentrate on that, you'll understand and you can remember as well. Okay, next. Who will have the onus of proof for non-receipt of notice of board meeting? Who will have the onus of proof, burden of proof? I am saying non-receipt of notice. That means some director is alleging that I have not received the notice. So who will have the onus of proof, burden of proof? That director, that alleging director who is saying that I have not received, he has to prove. Acha, can meeting be altered after serving the notice? Can meeting be altered after serving the notice? Sir, is it time pass? Serve the notice, then alter it, change the time, change the venue. This will all create confusion. They have served the notice. Bhai, this is the place where we'll have meeting. This is the time. This is the day. And now they're changing it. Don't you think will create confusion? So preferably they should not, but exceptional cases, yes. Sir, what can be exceptional cases? Let's say the place where they wanted to have a meeting got destroyed, burnt, fire broke out. Then they have no option but to change. That way, some exceptional cases, okay. Otherwise, no change once the notice is served. Okay. What do you mean by specific notice? Sir, we have heard of special notice, sir. General meetings time. Now, what is specific notice? We don't know. Okay, what is special notice? Right? What is special notice? Members serve the notice on company for 4 matters. That is special notice. Normally we say notice served by member. No, normally we say company. But when members serving on the company, that becomes special. But that can be done only for 4 matters as specified under section 115. Then what is specific notice? Specific notice means notice with agenda. Specific notice, specific matters. Notice given for specific matters is specific notice. Okay. So specific notice is different from special notice. So is specific notice required to be given for board meetings? No, sir. As per law, no. As per SS1, yes. Maybe when we read some section, like when we go to 186, 188, 203, you will find there they have mentioned 196 that specific notice should be given. Otherwise, generally, if we talk about in this section 173, did they said that specific notice should be given? No. Okay. Achha, by the way, who will serve the notice of the board meeting? Board meeting means meeting of directors. No, so director will serve. Any director. If not director, maybe they can delegate to secretary. Secretary will serve. Okay. Can notice be sent by fax? Can notice be sent by fax? No. We'll say, sir, exclusively no. Additionally, yes. Meaning, see, we know that only fax if it is sent, it is risky. Because proof may not be there in future. Because the paper which they use in fax machine is such where the I'm so sorry. Script gets erased after some days or after a few days. Right, you might see even ATM, yeah, that slips and all which you get. So that's where exclusively no, but additionally yes. Acha, where is the notice to the director sent? Sir, address which he sends. Acha, can he give his in-laws address? Let him give any address. In India, outside India, any address. And this all will not be botheration now because you know email address, emote they said anyways is allowed. Acha, but they send that to that address which he has given, but it comes back. And they don't have any email address. Then, sir, he might have given some address at the time of applying for DIN. Find out from there and give to that address. Sir, still from there it comes back. Batkama, uyalo. Meaning we can't do anything about it then. Isn't it? See, we tried our level best, but if it's getting undelivered because of the fault of director, what can we do then? Then it's the fault of director. Okay, next. Acha, the person who's attending the meeting by way of e-mode, that is VC, AVM, do you think he should inform the company about it? Yes, he should. He should be informing the company. Acha, having informed, can he attend the meeting then in person? Yes, sir, good only, no, nothing wrong. But in advance, he should inform that I'm going to attend. Still, suppose he has not informed and he wants to attend, no problem. Why we say in advance he should inform is accordingly the arrangements can be made. Tea, coffee, breakfast also, snacks. Jokes apart, but sitting arrangement also has to be seen, no, accordingly. Okay, next. If you remember, I've told you that companies can have exemption modifications. Not just because it was written in 173, because of 462 also CD can give exemption modification. So please concentrate on the last point which is there, 55th. For any public or private companies, first board meeting shall be held within 60 days, not 30, 60 modification done for them from the COI. And at least one board meeting every half calendar year. That means it is like OPC small companies for them, plus first board meeting within 60 days. Now Ariyant might ask, sir, what is IFSC public company? And that is where, let me remind you again, why I was telling you that we should see some more basics of company law. We will discuss types of companies where we'll talk about even IFSC public and private companies. Not just OPC small company, dormant companies. Understand, guys? So now, can we say 173 is over? Come on, guys. No. We cannot say it is over for the simple reason. See, now if we sit for another half an hour and try to ponder over these provisions, think about these provisions, we'll get some more scenarios in our mind. But we don't have only 173 in our syllabus. So we'll have to stop somewhere. Right? We've taken reasonable number of questions to understand this. And on that basis, we are saying, okay, we have understood and it's over. But in examination, you can have maybe some 56th scenario. But is this 55 questions giving you the confidence to face that 56th? Yes, then we can stop here. If no, then we have to continue further. It's like that. But please understand, in this 173, we haven't discussed what is OPC, what is small company, because I said we'll cover it up separately in basics of company. Same way, what is officer in default, who's officer in default, that I said we'll cover it up under those definitions. Okay, so if you understand what I have said earlier, okay, if you have not, then again I'm reminding you, now we have completed 173 and we have understood that we have some gaps, right, relating to basics of law, basics of company law, basics of interpretation and all, which we need to fill first. Then we'll be in a very comfortable position to understand, right, these topics or these sections which we have in our syllabus? Okay, my dear friends. So when we meet tomorrow, what will we take up? First, we'll take up some more basics, basics of law, basics of interpretation, and additional basics of company law. Then we will come back to 174. So we are putting a pause here for board meetings topic, and we'll come back here again. Okay, am I right? Now you might say, sir, again you are leaving today. Yes, this is the only day where we are leaving early. But when we meet tomorrow, we'll have our regular sessions. So I request you to accordingly come. So as it was informed, today's class again is stopping here and then continue tomorrow. So thank you very much and God bless you all. Have a good day. Okay.